Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are jumping straight into a paper that literally flips our understanding of gravity on its head. Get ready because we're embarking on a mind-bending exploration of Masashi Awata's revolutionary work, Kamae Field Theory, Redefining Gravity and the Geometry of Inner Concordance. This paper takes theoretical physics, blends it with deep philosophy, and attempts to bridge the gap between spacetime and human consciousness. So here is the big question. Why does spacetime strive to maintain its form? I mean, for over a century, physics has comfortably relied on Einstein's general relativity, right? Einstein beautifully explained how mass curves spacetime, giving us the geometry of gravity. But Awata points out this massive, lingering mystery. When the fabric of reality gets distorted, why does it always seek to snap back? What is the actual driving force behind this restoration? That is the profound mystery we are unpacking today. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for the explainer. We're going to cover gravity as we know it, the principle of Kamae, the math of concordance, redefining falling and gravitons, testing the Kamae field, and finally, a universe that aligns. Section 1. Gravity as we know it. Before we can really appreciate the disruption this new theory brings, we need to quickly ground ourselves in the accepted reality of the physical world. In Einstein's familiar model, gravity is simply the curvature of spacetime. Massive objects tell space how to curve, and curved space tells objects how to move. Contrast that with Awata's Kamae Field Theory, which proposes something entirely different. It defines gravity not as an interaction or an external curvature, but as a self-restoring process of inner concordance. It's absolutely crucial to understand that Awata doesn't present these as opposing scientific camps. Instead, he views them impartially as mirrors. Where Einstein describes the external geometry of space, Kamae Field Theory describes the internal state of concordance that generates that geometry in the first place. Section 2. The Principle of Kamae. To truly grasp this paper, we have to unpack what this central concept of Kamae actually means in a physical sense. The paper defines Kamae as inner concordance or readiness. But importantly, Awata makes it clear that this isn't just some psychological mindset. It is the generative foundation underlying all of existence. Think of it like this. You know when you're sitting in a chair in an awkward, unbalanced position? Your body naturally feels an urge to shift back to a comfortable, balanced posture. That urge to return to balance is entirely internal. Well, Kamae applies this exact logic to the fabric of reality. When Kamae is coherent, the universe appears continuous and stable. But when it becomes locally inconsistent or disturbed, spacetime curves. Gravity is just the universe's natural process of restoring its inner concordance at a macroscopic scale. Let's move to Section 3 and see how this builds, the math of concordance. Now, what's really interesting to look at here is how this theory elegantly extends something we already know. At the top is Einstein's famous field equation, but right below it, Awata introduces the Kamae Field Theory extension, adding a brand new term, the concordance curvature tensor. Now, don't let the math intimidate you. The paper explains that this new term simply represents a local deviation of conscious alignment. Think of it like a knot in a normally smooth piece of wood, or a sudden splash in a perfectly calm pond. The crucial shift in perspective is that, mathematically, space itself isn't what's bending. Instead, the generative field that gives rise to space is becoming locally disturbed. It's an inner representation of order mapped directly onto the equations that govern our physical universe. Section 4. Redefining falling and gravitons. So, what happens when we actually apply this math to the real world? Well, this updated framework forces us to completely reinterpret basic physical phenomena that we experience every single day. First up, falling. If you drop your pen, it isn't being pulled by the Earth's mass. Actually, scratch that. It's more like it's undertaking a directional return toward global concordance. The object is just restoring its inner alignment, which we happen to observe as acceleration. Second, smoothness. When spacetime is smooth, it just means the total concordance of Kamae is perfectly preserved. And third, energy. Energy density is reinterpreted impartially here as the local concentration of conscious concordance within the field. The implications are staggering, right? It reframes literally all mechanical interactions as a return to balance. And this brings us to a major shakeup in quantum physics presented by the paper, the graviton. In standard quantum gravity, scientists hypothesize the graviton as a particle that mediates gravitational force. But Kamae Field Theory argues that this kind of mediation is entirely unnecessary. If gravity isn't an interaction, you don't need a messenger particle. Instead, the paper suggests that gravity relies on K-waves, which are fluctuations of concordance propagating without any intermediaries. The graviton is therefore redefined not as a physical particle, but simply as a momentary, transient apex of perfect alignment within this field. Section 5. Testing the Kamae field. Of course, theory is just theory until we can measure it. So how might science actually find evidence of these K-wave oscillations in the real world? The paper acknowledges that direct verification is technically tricky right now, but it proposes 3 distinct avenues for testing. Physiologically, researchers could measure variations in brainwaves through EEGs or changes in skin potential to see if human biological shifts correspond to shifts in this inner concordance. Physically, we might detect phase fluctuations using highly sensitive interferometry, and temporally by comparing local time variations using high-precision atomic clocks. It's fascinating because mapping physiological measurements to gravitational inner concordance could create an unprecedented bridge between hard physics and human consciousness. Section 6. A universe that aligns. So the crucial point is this massive paradigm shift. Space does not exist, it aligns. Let's really summarize the profound philosophical implications of Awata's theory here. Gravity, in this view, is not a force acting upon objects from the outside. It is the motion of the universe remembering its own underlying order. To align is to recall, and this act of remembering, this self-restoring process of the universe trying to get back to a state of perfect inner concordance, manifests to us as the physical sensation of gravitational pull. It completely flips our understanding of cause and effect in physics. I want to leave you with this hauntingly beautiful quote directly from the conclusion of the paper. Kamae is the mode of consciousness through which the universe aligns itself by working through humanity. It challenges us to look up at the stars, or even just at an object falling to the ground, and ponder, is gravity just mechanical physics, or is it the universe remembering its own order through us? Definitely something to think about the next time you feel the weight of your own body. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking questions, and I'll see you next time.